Ow, my knee is really hurting a lot. Sorry, it's the first thing you guys see in this video, but well, you're with me now, innit? So you might as well be on this journey with me all the way, ups and downs, right? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nuri and I'm a cinematographer, DP, based in Michigan in the States, focusing mostly on brand films, commercials and documentaries. In this video I will be somewhat awkwardly, as I'm not really used to speaking to the camera just yet, speaking about various items that I picked up in 2023 as the year's coming toward the end that I feel really helped shape my filmmaking toward a new direction. Many of these things are very affordable items, you know, small things that you can use to kind of help improve your craft. Obviously, this comes with the caveat that, you know, the craft really starts with the filmmaker himself and not just the gear that he has. Gear doesn't make your life easier, it doesn't make your life better. But if you use the right gear in the right circumstances correctly, you can really push your projects toward becoming more cinematic and ultimately fulfilling for yourself as a creative and the clients that you're working for. The first one is a very simple one. I'm actually using it right now. It is the Tiffin Pro Mist 1/8 filter. This is a small filter that you essentially put on top of your lens. I'm sure you guys are well aware of it. As someone who watches a lot of TV and film, I become obsessed with trying to replicate the visuals that I notice in film and TV in my own work, using the gear that I have, essentially doing so on a much lower budget. And one thing that was really annoying me when I was working on a few projects earlier this year, commercial projects, was noticing how almost picture perfect some of the frames that I were taking were, especially with interviews, A-cam, B-cam. Ultimately, these lenses that I use, and I'm sure many of you use, are photography lenses. They're intended for photography and not for cinema. So as a result, sometimes you get these picture perfect images that are somewhat too clean. And I began to yearn for imperfections. These are the kind of imperfections that you really find in actual film, as in films that are shot on film. You'll see it, for example, in shows like Succession and others, where the way the camera is taking in the light and the film grain that is apparent on screen really gives that sense of authenticity, a kind of rawness and intimacy that you can't really find on digital. Now, of course, I do not have the budget to work with film, so what I did instead is find alternative ways to kind of put those imperfections into my work. And the first item I picked up to help me do that was this Tiffin Pro Mist filter. Now you can get it in 1/4, you can get it in 1/2. I've used both of those, but I felt the effect was way too apparent. I feel the 1/8 is perfect. It gives a very slight vintage tint to the image, which I think is really beautiful and wonderful. One thing I would say, and one mistake I did make when I was filming a piece to camera with the A-cam and B-cam early this year, using the Tiffin filters, was that if there's a lot of light coming in, it can really overpower the image if the light is harsh and not soft. So it's not something that I'll use in every shoot and every project, but definitely certain times when I'm looking for a certain look, I will definitely lean more into using these filters. The second one, which I actually have over here, is these vintage lenses, Canon FD lenses. I discovered these this year as well. Absolutely in love with them. These are essentially vintage lenses, basically, you know, lenses from the 60s, 70s, FD lenses, Canon lenses that you can use on your cinema cameras even today with the right adapter. What's amazing is they're super cheap to pick up. This is a 50mm. I think I got it for like maybe $78. I have a 28mm, which I got for 110, I think it was. And some of the images that you get with these lenses is just beautiful. It's obviously not film, but it's, I don't want to say close, but it has those imperfections that I was really seeking when it comes to capturing those images. You see, for example, that bit of film grain. You see, for example, those flares that come into the camera when it hits the lens, and it's absolutely beautiful. It gives it that filmic vintage look, which I really love. I will say, however, that I do want to use these sparingly. I did try to use these on a commercial project. I didn't really like the look of how it turned out. Sometimes you want that clean digital look. Sometimes you want that clean frame. I did also find it kind of annoying to use these in an interview setup. So what I will be using these for mostly is scenic filming, or anything basically outside in the sunlight. Anything in low light, anything in golden hour, you know, trips that I might take, vacations. These things are essential for me personally, but I'm really glad that I picked these up and I'm leaning into them much more. The third thing that I picked up is actually here right now. You can't see it in the frame, but I'll show you my setup over here. It is this beautiful light. It is the Falcon Eyes RX 18TD. I love this light. I adore this light. Love it so much. It's just an ultra portable, super soft, with all the diffusion that it comes with. An extremely powerful light. I actually bought it for two reasons. I bought it, one, to have as a backlight for subjects when I'm filming interviews, and also because it's so light, you can put it on a C-stand and use it for overhead lighting as well. But to be honest with you, it works incredibly well, as you can see right now, as a key light for interviews. And to be honest with you, the only reason that I don't use it as a key light for interviews is that I have a super huge parabolic softbox, which really, when I put the 300D on it, has the same softness with the same layers of diffusion, but because it's bigger, it just seems like it's more natural. But I think for smaller spaces, this is perfectly fine. And I'm just absolutely in love with this light. You can take it anywhere. It's super easy to carry around, super easy to set up, unbelievably powerful. I'm just shocked by how powerful it is. I wish I had 10 of these, honestly, I really did. The fourth thing that I picked up this year was a shoulder rig for the first time. Now, I've always avoided using a shoulder rig, mainly because I'm so tall. I'm 6'2" or 6'3", and I always felt like having any camera angles at that height would kind of take away from the illusion of being, among cast or whoever you're filming. But again, I became obsessed with watching certain shows. One was Top Boy, which I love, absolutely love that show, and especially the cinematography of it, because a lot of it takes place in flats, in apartments, in close angles, and it's meant to be very gritty and meant to kind of have that documentary style. A lot of it was filmed using shoulder rigs. Now, even though I love my Blackmagic pocket cameras, the one thing I hate about them is how shaky they can be, because they have no internal stabilization, and they're also not super heavy either. And when they do shake, you get these kind of jitters as well, which are very annoying. So finding a way where I can control that and have it somewhat shaky but not in a distracting manner was very important to me. And so I just gave in and jumped into using a shoulder rig, and I absolutely loved it. Setting it up, I used it on a shoot. I was very happy with the versatility of it, of using it. And to be honest with you, I think if I have any handheld filming that needs to be done, I will probably jump back into using a shoulder rig once again. I just need to make sure that the camera is as heavy as possible, and I have the means to support that weight to ensure that even if it is shaky, it's not distractingly shaky. Alright, and those are just 4 items that I picked up this year. 4 pieces of gear that I picked up that I feel that improved my filmmaking craft, that helped improve my filmmaking craft. Obviously, again, it's important to emphasize that gear does not make you a good filmmaker, it does not make you a good cinematographer or a good DP. But if you know how to use the right gear in the right circumstances, you can really uphold a very high standard of quality of work. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again next week for another video. Goodbye.